This is Tomi Berry, and I'm giving you an all-access pass.
Tonight, the great Johnny O'Neill.
Fabulous musician. He's a living legend.
One of jazz's greatest pianists that's alive today.
He's amazing, and that's trite because you say that about a lot of people.
So excited.
Atlanta's very special for me. Yeah, it's good to be here. I'm looking forward to a great concert.
I've known Johnny now approximately 31, 32 years. I met Johnny O'Neill at a club called EJ's. I went over there to see a jazz icon by the name of Milt Jackson. He used to be with the Modern Jazz Quartet. I'd never heard of Johnny O'Neill and couldn't care less about him at the time. I just wanted to see Milt Jackson. Bags, as his name was called. And I'll never forget the first tune they played was Chicago. You know that tune? Shit, da 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 da. They had an arrangement of that was awesome. And Johnny took the first solo. And it blew my mind. I had never heard, and he was a young man, 32 years ago, he was a young man. I had never heard that much piano being played from someone that young. When I say that much piano, I mean he was playing in the tradition. He was playing like the old masters used to play. He was above and beyond the average, quote, jazz pianist of his time then and even now.
Start. Where'd you get your start?
Well, my start was pretty much hereditary. My father formerly was a great pianist and singer, so I grew up with this art form. I heard my father play the great Erskine Hawkins, which is from Birmingham, Alabama, great blues. And I heard my dad play that when I was like 13 years old. We didn't have a piano. So I heard him at a house party play after hours, and I knew when I heard my dad play, I said, Dad, I want to learn how to play piano. So he couldn't teach me. He sent me to a friend of his for the piano lessons, which I'm mostly self-taught. I only had like several months of piano lessons in my life. Wow. So I give God all the glory for my gift and everything. And that's where my career began, through my father. And I remember he bought me my very first piano, and it just kind of sat there. He said, son, you got two choices. Either you're going to play that piano or eat it. So I decided to play it. In fact, at first, I never really thought actually I would become a jazz player because I didn't like jazz. I was more from the gospel tradition, which is still my first love. And that's where I pretty much got my gift from, give to the higher power. And jazz is America's only true art form, no America, no jazz. So I'm glad it's been more gratifying for me that I come along at the end of an era where I had a chance to play with all the masters who created this music. So I'm just passing it on. Born and raised in Detroit, of course, and graduated from high school. And then when I left high school, I immediately started traveling as an international, relatively early in my career. Started traveling all over the country. And later on in the 80s, started going to Europe.
He reminded me of Oscar Peterson and Errol Garner and Art Tatum, Bud Powell, I'm name dropping now, but that's who he reminded me of. I could hear all those elements, Earl Hines, I could hear all of it coming from Johnny's playing, but at the same time, I heard an individual. He was influenced, obviously, by these people. Like, we have to have an influence.
I was influenced by a lot of Detroiters, of course, were the innovators of this music, so I come up being right there in the midst of it all, actually seeing them guys perform live, and never thought I would be where I am now, but I'm so grateful that I'm now passing on what they set the standard and paved the way for me.
You said you were self-taught, so tell us about that. How did you learn to play? Was it learning chords?
Of course, by my background being hereditary, I guess it was just genetically. I grew up hearing his music. Even before I started playing, I grew up with all those records. So I guess my mind was more like a sponge. I was absorbing a lot of it and didn't really know it until I got older. I like to be recognized as being an extended branch from the root of the soul, from the tree of jazz, of all the great music.
In Atlanta a few years ago, and I happened to walk in there, and it happened to be Johnny O'Neill on the keyboards, and I was shocked. And he started doing this amazing thing. He did one high-end thing on his right hand, something entirely different, same level on his left hand, and he sang something equally complicated out of his mouth. 3 different things going at one time. I said, okay, you never know with this guy. It seems there is no limit. There's no limit. He's amazing, and that's trite, because you say that about a lot of people. So there needs to be another word for Johnny O'Neill. He's not amazing. He's another word, whatever it is. We had to make something up.
We went to a session one time where you were allowed to sit in. And I said, Johnny, go sit in. No, H, I don't want to go. You know, real humble. And he was sincere. So I told the guy on the stage, I said, I got a guy here who can play. Let's drag him up there. So we had to almost drag Johnny up there. And when we got him up there on the stage, once he started playing, it was like he was taken over by some musical demon or something. He just took over the whole concert. The pianist who was playing before him, no one wanted to play after him, and the guy who was playing before him didn't want to get back up there. They just said, you got it, you know. And he didn't do that to show off. That's just the talent he has. It's an amazing talent.
Last couple of years or so, I've just resided back in New York, and I'm so glad. I actually never thought in my mid-50s that I would actually be back in New York, teaching now one of the great schools in New York, New School. I've got resident gigs there, a couple of gigs that I play steady, so I'm back in New York, because some musicians can't even buy a gig. So I'm fortunate enough to say I've gone back to New York. Of course, I just played up in Harlem. I love the Village, because that's where all your primitive jazz clubs are, right there, the Blue Note, the Vanguard, Small. I also love the city of Atlanta, because I came down here in the early 90s, in which a number of people have told me I revolutionized Atlanta. I brought jazz back on the scene, along with my very dear friend H. Johnson, who gave me a lot of love and respect. He's responsible for my career here in Atlanta. H. Johnson, who's standing back there. Let's give him a nice hand.
One day he was playing with Art Blakey and the Jazz Messengers, and he was supposed to be a part of the group. Art Blakey fired him, not because he didn't like him, but because Johnny kept stealing the show. Johnny kept getting all the standing ovations and the accolades, you know. So Art Blakey told Johnny, you got your own group. You don't need to be with me. You know, all you need is your own thing. And so I guess maybe Johnny took his advice.
This has been an excellent opportunity to play with one of jazz's greatest pianists ever, I think. He's been a absolute inspiration. Needless to say, for 2 days we've been rehearsing, we've been talking, It's just been so much fun, and I can't tell you how happy I am to be playing some swing with Mr. Johnny O'Neill right here in Atlanta.
Oh, he's a living legend, and there's not, you know, a lot of people, you know, left like Johnny O'Neill. And it's a real honor and a joy to get to work with him and to make some good music and to swing.
Fabulous musician, great innovator, great improviser, and a talent to be reckoned with to this day in the jazz world.
My name is Tomi.
Not only a great musician, which is what attracted me to him in the first place, but he's an individual, a great humanitarian. He's a very humble guy too. He's very sincere in his approach to the music and his approach to life. He's a very nice guy, and he's not unlikable. Consequently, you have to like him. To know him is to love him, as the saying goes.